Life's gonna give you a gut full of reasons to be angry. You only need one to be grateful.
Well, Mark, it's great to have you on talking to the Pure Flix members today. We're super excited. I saw the film Father Stuart. I actually loved it. It was great. And actually, last night I was kind of browsing the internet a little bit and looking at it there, and I noticed it had a 95% Rotten Tomato score with the audience. And I was just kind of curious to say, what are you kind of most proud about the film as you look at it and what you've done and everything like that?
I would have to say the individual responses that I've seen to the film. I've read so many letters and so many reactions that have literally brought me to tears. The way it's touched people in their own personal and individual way. And I knew it would touch everybody because we're all going through different things. We're all kind of dealing with the difficulty of going through COVID, but we've all dealt with so much over the past couple of years that I knew it would really touch people. But to hear the words from other people and their reactions really is really profound. And I remember when praying about the movie and why I wanted to get the movie made, I really wanted to, and the goal was, it was always the kind of, the focus was to bring people to church and hopefully even the vocation of priesthood and anybody kind of finding their way to service and whatever their calling is, to recognize that and to do their part in God's big picture.
It's awesome, and it's reflected in the movie. I mean, you made a quote a little bit about Hollywood isn't making movies like this. What do you kind of mean by that? As you look at that and as you look at this film.
Well, it just seems to be a lot of focus on superhero movies, big tent poles, people looking to create franchises, which I get. It's a business; they want to be successful. But movies that really touch people, that impact people in a positive way, and that bring people closer together. Those are things that I'm hoping just to be able to do more of. And I think Stu will continue to hopefully get them to open their eyes to that the possibilities are endless, that there are ways to create massive audiences or create product for massive audiences that will make them hugely successful. But more importantly, put out positive messages and have a positive impact on people.
Yeah, well, this film was also, as I watched this film and I loved it, it had a lot of personal meaning for me too. My co-founder in Pure Flix died of ALS about 6 years ago. And so I could really I felt it was like emotional for me. It was just really impactful. And so, as you did that film, give us a little bit about that, more his life, a little bit there at the end and what kind of happened. I was just very curious about that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, Stu searched high and low to try to find his calling. And it was pretty relentless in his pursuit of it. But when he found the Lord, most of his life up until that point was really predicated on his physical ability. I mean, he was a fighter. He wanted to become an actor, but he was always fighting. And so to see his physicality start to deteriorate because of the sickness, but his spirituality starting to soar, it was really remarkable. And to even talk to like Archbishop Thomas, who had ordained Stu, to say that he had done more in his 4 short years than the Archbishop did in his 40 years of service was pretty remarkable. But he always felt like whatever illness was brought upon him was just going to bring him closer to God, and that suffering would allow him to be closer to Christ. And he wanted to embrace that because if we're all lucky to live long lives, we will face those things, or we'll know people who will face those kind of struggles and suffering. And how you give people comfort and help people deal with those sort of things that are pretty much inevitable, that gives me a lot of peace and a lot of comfort. And, my faith has given me so much comfort and so much peace and also so much joy that I wanted to share that with everybody. And I want everybody to be able to experience that.
No, that makes sense. You mentioned you prayed about this film as you were getting into it. From the spiritual side and kind of the faith aspect of the film, what drew you to this? And it sounds like you took it to prayer and really decided whether or not this was the film you should do and at the right moment.
I've always been kind of ever since a very young age, when I focused on my faith, good things started happening for me. So I'm a guy I'm a pretty routine type of guy. So I figured, okay, this works. Let me not vary from this. And this is kind of like how basically, it's my foundation, my faith. I figure everything else kind of comes after that and allows me to just approach everything else from that point of view. And so when I started becoming more and more successful, I know God didn't make me successful to forget about all the things that I went through and the things that young people like myself growing up in similar environments and situations are going through. So how do I utilize my platform, the talents and gifts that he's given me to serve his greater good? And then even when I was in the church and I was listening to this wonderful woman speak, she was a principal at a school in South Central at the Ascension School. And she was asking people if they were participants in the church and the community or spectators. And at that point, I was very much a spectator because I would kind of hide and use my celebrity or, you know, my being a public figure as an excuse to kind of hide in the back. And, you know, I was there for worship, but I was there, you know, kind of trying to be below the radar, not really get involved and just get what I needed and leave.
Right.
And shortly after that, I said, I gotta do more. And shortly after that, I was asked to be an usher. And next thing you know, I was an usher. And then after that, the Holy Father for Festival of Families. And then I was just kind of always looking for like something to do that would have much more of an impact and effect. And then when this story came to me, I realized right away that was, again, God putting it in my life at the right time. And, you know, that was 6 years ago. It was quite the journey to get it made. But I think all that preparation was really for all the right reasons, because it allowed us to make the best version of the film, even under the circumstances of us doing it independently with a lot less money. The talent that the story attracted and the material attracted really lent itself to making a super high quality film that is a faith-based movie, but normally you don't get that in faith-based movies.
No, I totally agree. Now I got to ask, you know, for our audience, especially, you know, Father Stu, you know, he came, you know, was kind of in the world and then came and found redemption and everything like that. A lot of language in the film. Talk to me about that and maybe why, and just so I can talk to the audience. We can talk a little bit to the audience, Pure Flix, that, you know, they might be a little bit concerned about that.
Yeah, I understood, but, you know, we wanted to be just as realistic and as honest as possible. Stu went through a lot. His family really suffered quite a bit. He had lost a younger brother at a very early age. His parents didn't have the skills to cope with that kind of loss. And they had turned to drinking and doing whatever they could to cope with that. Stu was left to his own devices, was really angry at the world, and they were all kind of angry at God. But, you know, people talk like that. We wanted to make something that was as realistic and relatable as possible, but to see how far he had come when he found God and how much of a commitment he really made. He made such a commitment to serving God. Even when he was diagnosed with IBM, he made a commitment and a promise to God that, you know, he was going to embrace the sickness and he was going to utilize it to touch other people, and he was going to serve God. And that was unwavering. And so to see how far he had come and really, you know, what a transformation he had made, we thought it was really important.
Well, and I agree. And a lot of people, I always say this to anybody, you know, people start at a different place and end in a different place in life. So it was the grit, the authenticity, though, that I also think made the film as well. And you know, a lot of people say it's rated R, and I say a film like this is rated R for redemption. You know, yes. R means redemption.
Exactly. You know, I could tell you now, when I sent the movie to the Archbishop, he had read a couple of bad words, and he was like, "Oh no, this is not good. This is not acceptable." And then I said, "Okay, well, hopefully you'll trust me. I will go and make the film, and I will come back to you, and I will show you the movie. And then if there's still an issue, we'll have that conversation." He watched it with a few of the other bishops, Bishop-elect Vetter, and then and some other priests. 15 minutes after they stopped crying at the end of the film, they realized how important it was that the language was there, and that the movie was about redemption. And that, again, that R stood for that, and that nobody was beyond it. And it was important to see that, because there are people who have made mistakes who feel like, well, you know what? I'm beyond it. Everybody's given up on me. Everybody's written me off. And we can't have that attitude in this day and age. We know that there's one judge, right? The big guy. We're there to kind of help people. And, you know, when you talk about forgiveness and how many times you're supposed to forgive your brothers, it's 7 times. No, it's 7 times 70. Mm-hmm. So those things are really important to understand when watching the film, and hopefully people will get the big message.
No, that totally makes. So let me ask, you know, this is kind of that first one, a little bit outside of some of the other movies you've done. Do you plan on making more movies like Father Stu? Absolutely.
Absolutely. I want to make more movies like Father Stu. I'm hoping people will come to me with great stories, whether there's something that they want me to be involved in or help them get made. But yes, I mean, I'm doing lots of amazing, working with lots of amazing people. I just partnered up with Hallow, and their app, and they're doing lots of amazing things, bringing people closer to prayer and connecting people. And so this is only the beginning for me in long form, short form. I would love to do lots of stuff with you guys. I'm really excited about it. It's been the most fulfilling experience that I've had throughout my career. And again, the amount of people that it's touched, I'll share some of the reactions people with you. I mean, it really brings me to tears to see how profound effect the movie has had on people.
That's awesome. I got to ask, all the fans would be excited. We got to find some Pure Flix movie for you to get in here in the future.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say to all the Pure Flix members, I thought this film was fantastic. It's R for redemption is what this is really about. Inspiring, totally awesome. Mark, I just want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for the work you're doing too. You don't always see films like this out of Hollywood, and these types of films make a difference in people's lives, which I think is ultimately the goal we should all have, is trying to change people's lives. And so I just want to say personal thanks to you, and really enjoyed it. And I encourage our Pure Flix members to go check it out. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Michael. God bless you. I really appreciate it.